Feels so fancy. Hi, everyone. We are here in the Pop with Pallas studio, and I have a friend, Maz, you want to come wave? She just actually hit live.
Hello.
She's in the studio listening to the show, which we haven't done for a couple of weeks. Tony's here, hiding back there. But I was saying it feels so fancy because she actually hit the live button to go live, so I didn't have to be right up in front of you and looking all awkward and then sitting down. We also have a light today, so let me know if it makes a difference, because I'm very excited about my new rig that I have set up over there, although I barely got it set up. I did with Maz's help. Anyway, today's topic is going to be top 10 ways to tap into your passion. So I'm genuinely hoping that this might be life-changing. That's a big ask, a big aim, but it is important that we pay attention to this. And it's sometimes hard to do when we have to face everyday challenges in life. So anyway, about to start live in about 3 minutes. Less than 3 minutes.
About 3.
3, okay.
Well, 2.
3, 2, whatever. When we
3,
hear
2,
the
1.
music.
Anyway, I'm going to try dailies.
Okay.
Well,
Because I keep splitting them
So you just throw them away when you pull them out?
at the end of the night.
Why don't you just be outrageous and just try it for a week without taking it?
I mean, I've heard that people's contact lenses get lost in their eye.
I've left them in there overnight before and my eyes get dry.
You
And
can
then-
get drops that you can use while you have
Yeah, I've
contacts
got...
in.
Well, he went from every day to once a month. He's changed his life.
Wow. And his eye doctor says that's okay? Or
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So just leave them in.
Mm-hmm.
Does he put anything in the morning? He must.
He might put a couple of drops in, but he's usually quite absent-minded, so probably not.
You're listening to
Just blink
Because
them.
protein and all stuff builds up on them.
Well, then he might.
He also
turn around
doesn't
and
wear
wash
makeup.
them.
Neither does Tony, though. I was
No.
going to say, I would
The
imagine the makeup
would
would
be
get it.
tricky.
I don't know. Do you wear makeup? I'm just assuming you don't wear makeup, but you're in a band. You're not in that
That's
kind of
right,
Kiss
yeah.
style band, are you? Lots of heavy eyeliner.
Glam bands.
Glam bands.
No, I have worn makeup in the past, but no, not
No.
recently. Moisturiser, that's about it.
Well, he does it monthly. Give it a go.
Anything you want to talk about at the beginning of the show? Anything going on? Any gigs? Any?
No.
No. Well, maybe we'll talk about the weather, and I mean this in the sense that not to be boring, but because people are getting sad. You know, seasonal effect.
I did a huge paper on that. I got 98% of that paper at university. Seasonal
I just
affective
checked.
disorder.
You'll
What you should do is go for
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
do it again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, there's a bit of a hiss, but...
How much time do we have? Do you want me to
we've
switch
got-
mics? So I can use this mic?
No, it's
No?
alright, stay on that mic.
Okay.
We've got one more ad and then our intro.
Okay. What do I do about the hiss? I have no idea what to do about the hiss. It's straight on.
Well,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Long
10.
story, the mics have been turned up and
In
they
a
just
different location?
bit hissy.
Well, that's not
The
good.
gear's just old. Not these, but
Okay.
here's our intro.
Our website for more information. accessradio.org.nz.
Two, one.
Hey you! Yes, I mean you. Are you ready to make your life pop? Well then welcome to Pop with Pallas. Find out how to follow your passion, discover your purpose, and express it with personality. So many people struggle to stay true to themselves, connected to their passions and values. They go off track faced with life's challenges, and then wake up one day wondering what happened. Why am I unhappy, stressed out, at a crossroads, or even facing a crisis? Why do I feel like the life that I'm leading does not match who I am on the inside? If that sounds like you, you are in the right place. Welcome, everyone. I'm Pallas Cotter, and I am joined by co-host Tony Kemp. Hey, Tony.
Hello. How are you?
Good. You know, it's
Well,
been a couple of weeks since we were on air, which means it's been a couple of weeks since I've seen my friend Tony.
That's right.
And you've been busy?
Yeah, been really busy.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's stepping up behind the scenes, taking on extra duties at the station, so that's for sure. Plus, you've got 2 young kids who keep you running around.
That's right. That's correct. Yes, they do. Keep me running around pretty full on. But that's okay. That's part of the job, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
If only we got paid for it.
Oh, it's true, but we get paid in joys. You know, I have my younger son, only 6 months left in his high school career, and I'm already sort of mourning the loss of this role in life because it can feel so full on. But then when actually you're faced with the concept of not doing day-to-day parenting, it changes quite a lot. So it's important to be mindful of that, which is impossible when you're just flat out exhausted and
I do understand.
Yeah.
I get it.
I know you do. Yeah. But anyway, in that sort of scenario, people can tend to start to not pay attention to their own personal passions. They can put other people and their needs in front of their own. Now, do you find that to be true as a parent?
I try and balance it out. I'm quite selfish, so I'm always know where my passions and dreams lie and what I'm doing towards them.
Well, and it's interesting that you use the word selfish.
Well, I just turn the TV on and say, right, kids, you can watch 3 movies. Yeah. Because I've got to go and do this.
And this is practicing.
And I leave them at home by themselves. No, I don't.
I was going to say, Tony,
no, I try.
Right?
I know what you're saying. I try and balance it out.
Yeah, but I think drilling back down to what you said, I do think sometimes it feels selfish to people when they feel like they are not prioritizing other people, be it their kids. And by the way, I know how much there you are for your kids. So the idea that you take a couple of hours out to focus on what you're passionate about, isn't it interesting that you immediately use the word selfish, which is a value-laden word? It is about balance and balancing the needs of others, with your own needs. And so it's important that we reframe this, I think. Do you agree?
Yep, I agree.
Okay, so selfish may not be the right word to describe it. Maybe it's more mindful of what you need to keep yourself, not off track. All those things I talked about, people who are feeling unhappy or stressed out or at a crossroads or facing a crisis, are often there because they haven't been mindful about what's happening inside and what they need to infuse them with energy, with purposefulness, right?
Right, yep.
Yeah, I'm not coaching you. Tony's looking at me very, very, ardently, listening to every word. I don't mean to call you out on that, but I think it's a perfect
No, you didn't
example.
call me out at all. It's you're right. You did right. I try and keep my Sundays at least free of everything work-related.
Yeah.
To hang out with it. That's one of my balances.
Yes.
Like I just won't email. I will check Facebook, but how many likes a photo's got? Nah, jokes. But I try and keep Sunday that family day. Yeah. As I work in the weekends, Saturday night, Friday night.
There you go. That's balance. But that work that you do, pursuing your passion of Tony's a drummer and a singer. For those of you who don't know that, I call him the resident rock star. But that's part of your art, your craft. And it is what you do for a living. But even if it weren't what you did for a living and you just loved it, you should be allowed to spend a couple of hours pursuing it.
Yeah.
But how rarely do people do this? There's so many shoulds and to-do lists and priorities that can just push away and into a corner the things that we're passionate about doing. I'm thinking of myself, actually, when my kids were probably a little younger than yours. And someone said to me, what books are you reading? Because she knew that I loved books. And I said, I'm not reading anything right now. And she said, no, seriously, you should be making 15 minutes each night before you go to sleep to read something. One of the bestsellers or one of the new nonfiction books that are out. And I literally looked at her and said, I don't have 15 minutes to do this. Because I was working and trying to raise the 2 kids and getting 4 hours of sleep a night. And that's not a healthy way to live. And it's partly why I do what I do now. But it does sound
familiar, though.
Doesn't it? Yeah, it does.
So, did you end up reading?
Did
you work out a plan to do that, or you just not?
I ended up, it wasn't on a daily basis. But what I would do is I would try to schedule in some time every few weeks and say, look, this is going to be the hour where I sit down and actually read something. Because I knew that even if it wouldn't work out day to day, then you'd have to find time for it and put it in your schedule as something as important as like a doctor's appointment, right?
Yeah.
Actually schedule it and do not violate it. Do not consider it anything less than an important appointment that you are accountable for keeping.
Sounds like a plan for the listeners.
Well, and this is actually not even on the list of my top 10 ways to tap into your passion, which is what I was going to talk about today. So there you go. We should go ahead and start this. I have a feeling we're not going to get through all 10 today. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Drum roll from our drummer in-house. Number one, look for clues about what you feel compelled to do. So now I've always said to pay attention to what you do, not what you say you're going to do. So what actions are you actually taking? And sometimes you find yourself not being able to stop yourself from doing something. For example, communicating. Now, I love to communicate to people, but sometimes it's not talking. Like, I'm not someone to pick up the phone and chat for hours, but I love to send emails or do Facebook or just write and share stories and things like that. I can't stop myself from writing. So during that era when I was talking about not being able to read, I was communicating all the time. So it's what you feel compelled to do. So what's one of your compulsions, like something you can't stop yourself from doing?
I was thinking about this yesterday when I was actually doing it, but it might sound crazy, but cleaning.
Yep. Because there's an instant reward for that, isn't there?
I don't know. I'm getting into the cleaning at the moment.
Isn't that interesting? Do you find it sort of meditative?
Maybe so.
Yeah.
It's just keeping the house in order.
Well, sometimes it's the one thing in our lives we can control.
My wife leaves it in a bombshell, and then I come home and clean it up.
But is it a feeling of control that you get from that, or creating order out of chaos?
No, just
instant gratification.
I mean, my wife and I work differently, I think, which is, pretty obvious, I guess, in a lot of relationships. And yeah, I can't handle the mess. So I don't do it in an angry way at all. I just seem to enjoy doing it, and once it's done, I enjoy it when she comes home and it's all clean.
Well, I had a woman once who was my cleaning lady back when I was working full-time with the young kids and getting 4 hours sleep a night. And she was married to a very wealthy man, and she didn't have to work, but she absolutely adored her job. She loved the feeling of accomplishment she got at the end of, her 2-hour shift, and just being able to look at everything sparkling clean. It was fascinating. And I loved that she loved it so much.
Yeah.
Makes it easier. She also enjoyed moving things around. She asked my permission, can I rearrange this or that? I said, absolutely. So, that's great that you say that. And if
that's coming from a perspective, like I'm not talking about music or anything, which obviously I'm compelled to do,
but you can be passionate about knitting baby booties, and not even have any babies in the house. It doesn't matter. If it brings you joy, then go for it. And I think it's really important that you bring up something that someone else may not judge as a passion. And I have to distinguish between passion with a capital P and a little p. That could be a little p passion, right?
Yeah.
An everyday thing that for some reason changes.
It's definitely not a capital.
Right. But it changes your mental state in a positive way. And so that is something important. So number 2 on the list is follow what you're curious about. What do you find yourself longing to learn more about? Often there's a clue in what you seek out that leads you to what you're passionate about. And this can even extend to junk food for the brain is what I like to call it. Like if you want to watch reality shows, I challenge you. What is it about it? Is it just watching the beautiful people? And then, well, maybe not. But if there's something in there, like I was talking to someone who watches Survivor New Zealand, and she loves the strategy and the tactics. And so she's watching it because she's curious to see what people come up with. And there's a real reason. So even though she may feel guilty about watching this reality show, there's actually something in there that she's curious about. Now, maybe continuing to watch reality shows is not the way to satisfy that. If you really want to develop that as a passion with a capital P, maybe you learn about the art of negotiation more formally. But, if you're struggling to figure out what you're passionate about, which is the point of, finding out how to tap into your passion, this is one clue to lead you there. Any reality shows you like?
No, I tend to go more towards movies. Mm-hmm. But talking about that, I have been getting into reading a lot of books lately. Okay. At night time before I go to bed.
Good.
Before I go to sleep. That's something.
Any theme to the books, or just for fun?
Autobiographies or biographies, and kind of, I guess, ones that you can think about yourself and learn from.
So what have you learned?
Not much.
Okay.
No, I've got a new one that looks interesting, and it's it's how you make it in show business. Now, I got it off my brother-in-law, not just because of the title, but I thought there might be some interesting, because they kind of tell you different paths, and I thought there might be something interesting in there.
Yeah.
That
well, it sounds like you're on
looked
that
at.
path, that curiosity path. You just haven't found the gold nugget yet, but.
Well, yeah, just kind of opening the door a bit wider and seeing what else is to think about.
I think also when people get older, sometimes they feel like, there's not much else out there to learn, which is a huge mistake. I'm not that way. I know you're not that way. I know that my husband, for example, can't get off of his device because he's constantly reading to get more data. I say, you need more data input. But he's always learning. But that's one personality type. Another personality type is, happy not to pursue that. But if that person is not feeling passionate about something, then it might be worth revisiting. What are you just a little bit curious about? What are you not following? You know? Anyway, I think at this appropriate time, we should take a little bit of a break because I've given, and you have too, everyone out there listening, lots to think about. So what do you have lined up for us in terms of music?
I've got Only the Lonely.
Cool.
And by the Motels. Here we go on Access Radio 106.1 FM, Pop with Pallas. Stay tuned.
Have we gone off track of it? I mean,
No,
we're just
no,
basically having a conversation. That's all that it is.
Sorry, at the start, this mic was
I know I
terrible.
know.
It was so distorted. People are playing with it.
And the Motel's fantastic. I'd forgotten how good they are.
Yeah, they are. They do that other... What's their other hit?
I didn't know. I thought it was like a 1950s group, the Motels.
No.
That tells you how ignorant I am about music. But I had no clue that that's who sang this. I love this song.
There's one of those silver dots was moved,
Yeah.
and my mic was distorting, like, really badly.
You mean like it wasn't facing the right direction?
You can switch those.
Oh, these things down here.
So
These things. Very,
I think the one that was switched on mine gives it a boost.
Oh no.
So it was like, hello.
I know. I was trying to. I didn't know what
I know
to
you
do. I
couldn't
could see
hear
you
it, but-
panicking. Yeah.
Like I can't do this whole interview like this.
No. Thanks for trying to fix it.
So
Well, it is, but
the other two were Complete Control. That's probably what you're thinking of.
was what? Sorry.
Complete Control and Suddenly Last Summer's the other big one.
Oh, suddenly last summer.
So Total Control is awesome.
What's the? Didn't they have one that's quite slow, like dum dum ga dum 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 ga?
Remember the Nights? That's the one.
They played at Bodega, didn't they? A
Yeah.
couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Really? Oh. I never go out to concerts ever.
And there's that-
No, I didn't go. I just heard they were playing there, and I thought, oh,
I enjoy them when I do, but I just don't. I'm not curious enough about it. It's clearly not a passion, truthfully, because I don't motivate myself to go out.
well, neither do I.
Oh, see, I love going out.
I don't often.
Well, you've got young kids too. I don't have that excuse. I'm just tired.
No, you don't.
But I mean,
You
I
did,
go
you
out every
did.
week. Like I'm playing in bars and weddings and stuff, so
Yeah.
maybe that's why I don't.
You're already tapped out on that scene.
I mean, I'm going to an All Blacks game at the Cape Town
Yeah.
I meant
this weekend,
Yeah.
and it's like, wow, I'm actually looking really forward to it.
that's good.
Well, I'm not a rugby fan, but it's just I think being there in the moment, seeing. I've never seen a live, well, the All Blacks anyway.
Oh,
I've seen one game there, and
I've
it
seen
was.
them I've seen them with sevens.
No, well, I'm there on Saturday night. I'll see you. It should
All right,
be a
we're
good,
coming.
great game.
About 10 seconds to go. Welcome back to Pop with Pallas on 106.1 FM Access Radio. That was the Motels. Only the Lonely. Only the Lonely.
I love your radio voice, Tony. The more that we
Oh,
can
thank
put
you.
that in there, the better. We were just talking in the break about going to concerts and outdoor events like rugby games, and when do you motivate and when do you not? And when, to me, it's a clue that I haven't motivated myself to go see a lot of the bands that come through, because while I enjoy them, I'm not passionate about them, but I'll go see plays. So I'm more passionate about plays, and I'll make time and push through the exhaustion I might be feeling to go and see a play,
The one thing I find hard about live rock concerts is you have to stand there for hours on end, right close to other people.
Well, and that's part
so
of it.
I should actually don't, but I'd love to go to more plays, like more theatrical musicals than opera. Mm-hmm. But you get to sit down; you don't need to stand.
That's true.
And be comfortable.
Yeah, that's a very big benefit. I did not peg you as an opera fan, though. I didn't have to worry.
No,
about that.
I wouldn't. Yeah, opera's not my thing, but.
Yes, well,
unless it's Freddie Mercury.
You're absolutely right, because I've been to theatrical performances that may not have measured up to my original expectations, but at least I'm sitting down. You're so right. That makes such a difference.
I just find that I remember, just a little bit off topic, but I was going to a Bon Jovi concert 10 years ago, it probably was, and the night before I saw him on TV, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we play for 3 hours," and I'm thinking, I'm gonna have to stand there.
Yeah,
you got to go there first,
right?
Get where you want to stand, and the support band's an hour, they're 3, so you're standing for 4, you probably got to stand for another 2 while you wait.
Fend off others from trying to push their way into your position. 5 hours on your feet. Yeah, no, we're old, honey. I think.
Let's move on.
Yes, okay, so number 3 on the list for tapping into your passion is allowing yourself what I like to call a magic wand moment. Ask yourself, if I could wave a magic wand, what would I do? Now, most people say I'm going to run out and buy a fancy car or take a vacation, which fair enough. But that aside, I mean, what would you actually spend your time and energy on? And too often we do not give ourselves the chance to dream like this. I mean, usually people have something that they would do that's productive, not just lying on a beach, but something they would enjoy spending their time on, be it being in nature, or for me, it's a combination of taking walks and writing. So writing is the thing that I would love to do. If money were no object and I could wave a magic wand, I would have time for my time outdoors and exercise, but write every single day. So if you take away some of the constraints that we put on the way we think, take all of those away, and then consider yourself free of those, what would you spend your time and energy on? What would you do?
That's an interesting one. I would definitely get the whole exercise regime down, and then I'd probably have to put in place some kind of plan for my music.
That's no surprise to me. Yeah. But if you
I would need help with that though.
Well, now you're getting technical and maybe overthinking it. What I'm telling people to do is actually just go
like
with
I do all the time.
Yeah, with your, I know that feeling. Go with your heart and gut. And some people find this really surprising because they realize they've never allowed themselves to dream. It's always been immediately countered by just what you said, oh, but I would need help, or I would need this, or someone, or what would happen if, and they use their prefrontal cortex, the front of their brain, and I'm saying, no, get rid of that. Just tap into that heart and that gut and that intuition and that joy and that limbic system, the emotion. And because that is where passion lives, there, not in the rational, logical part of our brains, right?
Right.
So that magic wand moment has been really liberating. And interestingly, when I use this with people I coach and they do the magic wand moment, they come up with some things that they've never thought about, and then we actually do find ways to incorporate that into their lives, whether or not they're earning a paycheck for it, or if it's something that they actually just need to realign in their own careers to feel more fulfilled. Wow. So it's like taking a step out of your box, looking at something from a new perspective, and then just choosing to figure out how to put that back into your life. So going back to that example of me not having time to read when the kids were little, taking a step away from, well, I can't read every day, to, okay, how else can I look at this? And find a way to slot it back in. But that, of course, was just for a hobby. Some people I know have said, if I didn't have to worry about this or that, then I would choose to work in this area. And so then we start to logically break down, well, why are you not working in that area? What jobs are there in that area? Where do they overlap with your skills? So just changing that mindset can be huge in terms of tapping into your passion.
Wow.
Yes. So, on that note, ask yourself, what would you be willing to give up a paycheck to do? That's number 4 on the list, because that's the other way to free yourself. If you're not comfortable with the magic wand image, this is another way to try and do that. So again, you just take away one of the layers of constraints that you feel, one of the things that may be holding you back from doing something that you're passionate about, and just see. And be aware, like we've said before so many times, that when I encourage people to follow their passion, I don't necessarily mean throw everything away, and go get rid of your good job or whatever. I mean actually just find ways to work it into your life. And that could be through volunteering or making time for a hobby, all the sort of different themes that we've been talking about today. But imagine and ask yourself, if I didn't need to get a paycheck, or I'm saying that wrong. What would you do if you were willing to get rid of that paycheck? So, get you thinking?
Yeah, that's quite a hard one for me.
Yeah. Well, I don't expect anyone here, or actually who's listening, to have an answer right there on the spot.
I mean, I'm kind of earning money doing what I love, so that's
one of the lucky
a great
ones.
Start.
And definitely one of the lucky ones. Okay, so number 5, get real about what you're willing to compromise or risk or give up to pursue your passion. So these people, they get stuck and they keep complaining about, well, if I really could do what I want, I would do this, this, this. And then you listen to them and they'd say, okay, why don't you go for it? And then they come up with all these reasons and sometimes excuses. And I sometimes challenge people to say, okay, stop and write all those reasons and excuses down. Okay, really, is that something that you're just using as an excuse, or can you find a way around that to actually pursue what you're passionate about? Truthfully, where is that expectation coming from? So, for example, I work with women. One is married to a lovely man, but he has an expectation that she's going to bring in a certain salary. And so she used that as an excuse not to find another job in the area that she was particularly passionate about. So we wrote that down and we said, okay, but you're just assuming that you can't get that paycheck in a job in your chosen field because it was more service-oriented, her chosen field. So confront those ideas, those preconceptions, and actually test them. And what we found out was there were jobs in that service-oriented field that rivaled the safe salary that she had. So she was able to actually knock down some of those excuses to get to what she was more passionate about doing.
Wow, and that happened?
It did happen.
Over
and then,
short, a long period of time?
A couple of months.
Wow.
And to be honest, when she then got into that position, she was so passionate about what she was doing and so qualified to do it that she was noticed and within a few months offered a promotion. So now she has a better position,
Wow.
in terms of salary than she had before. So it's amazing what can, open up. The other thing is, if you're really there are starving artists out there and they are willing to compromise the creature comforts and the things that a big paycheck buys because they are so fueled and filled by doing what they're passionate about. So if you hear someone again sort of saying, I'm stuck because I really want to be doing this, ask yourself, what are you willing to compromise about? Because if you actually get real about, what it would take to do it, and get real about how important it is to you, you may find that you're willing to make that compromise. But we don't take it that far when we're talking about it. Can you think of anyone, not that you want to be naming them, but as I talk about this, usually people do say, oh, I know someone just like that.
No, not off the top of my head.
No. Well, maybe anyone out there who's listening might be able to, picture someone, and you've probably talked to this person and talked to them through the steps again and again, and then they've always sort of shaken their head and then stayed exactly where they are. And that can get super frustrating. But it's often because they're just not willing to make the compromise. And if that's the case, then own that. I'm not willing to compromise to pursue the starving artist life. So find a way to incorporate art into your free time, your hobby, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I was just watching something, a little bit off topic, but Jim Carrey, some people think he's gone off the rails. He's gotten very existential about life being an illusion and that we are all fields of energy and this sort of thing. It's fascinating what's happened to him. But he just basically talks about having become the star that he always wanted to be and how unfulfilling it turned out to be. And so now he's out there spreading that message, which makes him look a bit different in Hollywood, as you might imagine. But he's also started just doing art, painting. He's not formally trained, but there's this video that I was watching online about his artworks, which were incredible. And he just never allowed himself to pursue that in the past. So it's fascinating, you know?
Yeah, he is. I haven't seen too much of him, but
yeah,
I know he's gone through a change.
Yeah, he has gone through a change, but one of the things that I drew from that, the lesson I learned, is that sometimes it's so important to just try new things and see how you can creatively express yourself in other ways.
Yeah.
You know, and then you might actually find your passion that way. Tony's looking at the clock, and just as I suspected, we're not going to make it through the top 10 tips of how to tap into your passion, but next Monday...
That's all right, we've got next week.
Yeah, that's right. So that's exactly what's on the docket for next week. And I've also been noticing that we've been having such a fun time here with guests coming on, or just you and me chatting about these different topics related to passion, purpose, and personality, that I've forgotten to mention that if you want to find out more about my passion, which is helping others find theirs, you can go to www.makeyourlifepop.com. That is my online website here in New Zealand, and on that you can find a link to my TEDx talk and to YouTube videos and other interviews and previous radio shows like this one that might actually ignite something in you. And I also wanted to let people know that I've started on my mission to make the lives of 100,000 people pop. I'm starting with women, and I am recruiting women to go to www.popwithpallas.com to learn more about what I'm doing online to reach out and create a tribe of women who can support one another to lead lives filled with passion, purpose, and personality. So there you go. Worked it in today.
Nice.
Yes. And I think that's all the time we have. So Tony and I are going to say goodbye for today. And then we'll be back.
See you next week.
That sounds cool.
For the other, how many?
5 more tips.
5 more.
To tap into your passion. That's it for Pop with Pallas today. Thanks for tuning in to 106.1 FM. I don't think I quite made the end there, but... No.
You were cut off, sorry.
No, it was my fault.
I think there might be another show that they are here.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully this light is working today. I'm very excited about it. Take care.